And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots, with horsemen, and with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries, and shall overflow and pass over. Now the king of the south was Ethiopia. King Menelik defeated the Italians in 1896, and Mussolini defeated Ethiopia in 1934 by aerial warfare. Something that these poor tribesmen in Ethiopia knew nothing about. They had only swords to fight with. If you remember, it was after the advent of the airplane. It was a new thing at the time. It had been tried out in the Spanish Civil War. And Mussolini wanted to try his Air Force out. They tried it out in Spain, and so what did he do? He went down to Ethiopia and said he was going to take it over. And he went out against a lot of bushmen that had nothing but swords to fight with, and he bombed them and machine gunned them from airplanes and perfected his art of aerial warfare by doing it. Took over Ethiopia. Now, we have come to a point here where everything that has happened has been duly fulfilled the second time. All of this is past, except for some of these things here where the abomination of desolation that has not been fulfilled. But you're going on, everything now from verse 41 on is in the future, is yet to happen. Now, Palestine conquered, Transjordan will escape the Russian threat, Europe attacking first, and the Vatican, as it shows in the last part of this, to be moved on into Palestine.
But did you ever really analyze why the world is so fearful of Iran getting the nuclear bomb? Why do they fear Iran getting a nuclear bomb more than any other nation on this earth by far? Why is that? I want to show you that the nation of Iran is actually a key to unlocking connected prophecies in your Bible. They are a key part of that. Iran is going to lead this world into World War III, a nuclear War III, and right up to the very second coming of Jesus Christ. That's what your Bible says and what you can prove to yourself. Notice Daniel 11 and verse 40. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him. That's Iran. And the king of the north, that's Europe led by Germany. The king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and with horsemen and with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over.
Nearly all Bible scholars recognize Psalm 83 also as prophecy. Turn to Psalm 83, and this is a very important prophecy, yet very few really understand it. Turn to Psalm 83, and let's begin reading here in verse 1. In your Bible, check up on me. Prove these things in your own Bible. It's been here all these years. Psalm 83. Do not keep silent, O God. Do not hold your peace. And do not be still, O God, for behold, your enemies make a tumult, and those who hate you have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against your people. They've taken counsel against your people and consulted together against your sheltered ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off for being a nation. Notice that the name of Israel may be remembered no more. Although it's mainly composed of the descendants of Judah, the present state of Israel is certainly going to be affected by this. They're called Israel, and they're going to try to blot out the name of Israel. You're going to see these things in the headlines of your papers and on television news in the next few years. Watch it. These things are real. They're underway. They show there's a real God behind world affairs. For they have consulted together, it says in verse 5, with one consent. See, they're going to join together, nations all across that region. They form a confederacy against you, the tents of Edom and the Ishmaelites, Moab and the Hagarites, Gebal, Ammon and Amalek, Philistia and the inhabitants of Tyre. Assyria has joined with them. Assyria is frankly now the modern German peoples. They're going to join with these Arab nations in the Middle East to help bring this about. Watch it. It's going to happen. It's not some far-off dream. Assyria has joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot. And, of course, Moab and Ammon are the children of Lot. And they are the modern peoples of Jordan. So watch the modern peoples of Jordan and Lebanon and that whole area of the world, and certainly Egypt. They're going to join together, and they're going to make a plan to destroy and to annihilate the name of Israel, and destroy that name from off the earth. This Arab Confederacy is going to take place. It's underway right now. Now back to our topic on Middle Eastern prophecy. My friends, as we read about a soon-coming Middle East confederation, a whole group of Arab stations getting together to destroy Israel, and they're going to affect our lives too, we need to study what God tells us in Daniel 11. And then in verse 40, at the time of the end, this is our time, at the time of the end, the king of the south shall attack him, and the king of the north, who is the coming beast, the leader of this powerful European empire described in Revelation 17 in your Bible, shall come against him like a whirlwind. Hitler's armies and air force were described as blitzkrieg, lightning war. They came so fast, and it's going to happen once again, involve some of the same peoples in this end-time prophecy, with chariots, modern tanks, modern aircraft, Polaris submarines, Polaris-type submarines, I should say, and all kinds of weapons, and weapons that have not even been invented yet. And they're going to be have way beyond the technical ability of these Arab nations. And he shall enter the countries, overwhelm them, and pass through. So this coming dictator is going to conquer this power in the Middle East, because the European power will have far greater impact because of its modern weaponry.
This is the Danube River running through Budapest, Hungary. Along its banks in the year 1526, the armies of the Ottoman Empire advanced in an attack upon Central Europe. Their goal was conquest of lands for Islam. It was not the first nor the last attempt by a Middle Eastern power to push into these lands. Bible prophecy tells us there will be another in the future. Can we see how this may be developing through the current events in Europe and the Middle East? I think we can. Join us on Beyond Today in Budapest as we look at the coming King of the South.
We are finally, lo and behold, going to cover the subject of the King of the South. So we just simply know more in certain cases after the passing of many decades since Mr. Armstrong wrote some of his booklets. He didn't write them all at the end of his life, and he's been gone now over 21 and a half years. Mr. Armstrong was not always sure of certain things. There are times we talked about prophecy, and he was as hard as flint in his adamance. But we also need to understand that other times he wasn't exactly sure on things. We have long wondered, I have, others have. I never heard Mr. Armstrong really talk about it, but obviously wondered and to some degree wrestled over who was the King of the South. Mr. Armstrong never said who it was. He referenced in his Middle East booklet what I've said in a past sermon some years ago. Was in 2007 when I covered the subject of the King of the South. He mentioned that at a point in Daniel 11:40 it was Ethiopia, and just never addressed it after that. Now, all through the chapter, the King of the South was always Egypt. That's who it was. At the very end, when Mr. Armstrong wrote his booklet, the configuration of events in the Middle East made it look like Ethiopia because of circumstances, and I don't disagree with that. Mr. Armstrong was right. But he let it go because Ethiopia didn't fit a past pattern and did not appear to be any kind of a clear choice for the King of the South going forward, but they certainly fulfilled verse 40 of Daniel 11 when they ran into trouble with Mussolini, and so he left it at that and moved on.